to the first media consulting podcast, The Business Chronicles, where we dive deep into the stories of successful business owners. Here's your hosts, Didi and Nicholas. Thanks for joining today. Let's talk.
Welcome, everyone, to our podcast. I am just so excited to bring to you Andrew, who's the owner of Mr Handyman of West Orlando. Good morning, Andrew. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on the podcast. Super excited to be here.
Oh, absolutely. I love the shirt, everything, the hat, the shirt. It's very nice. So let's dive into it, man. Tell our listeners a little bit about your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're Mr Handyman, serving Windermere, West and South Orlando. We're a general contractor, although Mr Handyman sounds like we do smaller projects. We do small projects, but we also do large projects as well. Interior, exterior, residential, commercial, bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, full interior remodels, flooring, pretty much anything under the roof we will do that's within our licensing jurisdictions. Interestingly enough, Florida is one of the only states where a general contractor can't pull electrical permits or plumbing permits. You have to be a master electrician or a master plumber to pull those permits, which makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But many other states, a GC can pull any kind of permit they want. So it's a really big misconception in Florida. We get a lot of folks coming in saying, "Hey, can you pull our electrical permit?" No, I can't pull the electrical permit. We're not a licensed electrician. But we do, from hanging grab bars to full interior remodels. We don't do too much in concrete or pool work or stuff like that. Again, irrigation, that's a separate license in Florida, so we don't do any kind of irrigation systems. And most of my guys don't want to be outside anyway, so they're relatively happy with that.
A little hot, right?
Yeah.
So what do you find the most out of all the services that you provide? What is the one that kind of stands out the most?
Oh man, it's tough because we get every day is different. Every call is different. Every customer is different. I think one of my favorite calls is we'll get a customer that calls and they're really excited for a project. And they had found a contractor that maybe wasn't licensed or insured, and they took their money and ran. Which we all have a story of someone we know that put a deposit down for a project and they ran. I just kind of walk them through the process of how they can try to get their money back, and then explain our process and how we're different. We typically aren't taking deposits up front unless it's a special order item that we can't return. And then we'll collect our portion at the end of each day. So hypothetically, if we do a bad job and they want to fire us, we'll collect at the end of the day and we part ways, and they pay us for the work that we've done. And, there's no, hey, I gave you 50% of, this $10,000 project and you're here for one day. And the customer doesn't have to chase us down for money, and we don't have to chase them down for money. So, but it's the answer to the question. I'm sorry, I got on a tangent there. It's different. Each call is different. We're not too specialized into one, category of home remodeling. We try to do as much as we can. We do stay away from, high-end flooring and stuff like that, just because we're not set up to do, to lay that amount of floor or work with that kind of material.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate you kind of sharing that with us. What inspired you to start this business of yours?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, before I went down this endeavor or started this endeavor, I was a field service engineer for Siemens Energy, and I oversaw maintenance operations at nuclear power plants around the country. And I have some rental properties. And when I was traveling, I used to travel 7 months out of the year. If something would go wrong, it was impossible to be able to find someone to do small tasks, or hey, looking to do a bathroom remodel to update this property, and yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there the next day. And then, you're waiting around and it's like, where's this person at? They never show up, and there's never no call. There's never no text. So I honestly thought there was this huge demand in Orlando. And I kind of jumped into this and didn't do a ton of market research. And one of the questions we'll get to later, I'll explain that a little bit more, because I lost a lot of capital being very, very overconfident. But it was just, I thought there was a big need. I had, colleagues at Siemens that would say the same things. If you just answer your phone, you could make $1 million in the service industry here in Orlando. And so that kind of resonated with me, and it ultimately led, I looked at a few different franchises plumbing, HVAC, a competitor of Mr. Handyman, Ace Handyman Services. I looked at their model and ultimately settled on Mr. Handyman. And it was, kind of, they gave me access to talk to other owners. So we got about 17 owners, I believe, in Florida, Mr. Handyman owners. And I talked to a bunch of those guys, and, they were very honest with me. And that really pushed me towards the decision, because Ace Handyman Services, they wouldn't give me any of their owner information. Now, granted, I could go to their brick and mortar and knock on the door. Hey, looking by guys.
Right.
But, it doesn't mean I'm going to get to talk to the owner. So that's pretty much how it started with me.
I like that. And every business owner has secrets to their success. What's yours?
Mine is, and I've been living with this probably since undergrad, is, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And I believe the gentleman who quoted that was Jim Ron. But I try to surround myself with good people. I try to surround myself with, really good mentors. A lot of my friends are a little bit older than me that have been business owners in different industries. But I try to learn as much as I can from them, and then, apply that to my life. But that, I would say that'd be it. I try to surround myself with people that are going to bring me up.
I think you hit on a good point, and that's very, very important. Your network is the key to your success.
Absolutely.
Keeping it all real and keeping it all positive. And I think that's awesome. So are there any trends that are standing out right now in your industry that you see?
It's tough. So we talk about this, me and a few other Mr. Handyman owners, and then also with, our home office, our franchise business coaches. It's an election year. The stock market's done things this year that are very abnormal. We hear the propaganda, we see the propaganda. I think when interest rates started going up, one of the trends where we saw a lot more people doing more remodeling versus, sick and tired of this house, I'm just going to buy a new one. With the cost of so expensive, we're seeing a lot of people do that bathroom that they've wanted to do for 10 years, but we're going to go buy another house instead of doing the bathroom. As of recently, we're seeing, our first time customers are usually, they'll spend a small amount of money with us for a small project, and then they'll get our experience and understand how we work and really like the quality of work that we do. And we'll get a call back saying, hey, you guys were great. I'd really like you to, do my bathroom remodel. I'd like, I have this loft and my daughter's moving back from college, and, I really need to turn this loft into a full blown bedroom. Can you help me remove the carpet and put, laminate flooring or tile down and put a door in and stuff like that. So I would say the biggest trend with all of our owners is probably, that first impression turns into much bigger revenue driving jobs than that first initial job.
And there are challenges in every business, right?
Yeah.
And, it's like I speak to a lot of business owners. What is a challenge that you face in your business?
Yeah. So the first one definitely was I was very overconfident in the demand that I thought was in Orlando. So when I bought the franchise, I came out, I had 3 vans running around, I had this big office space, and, I had my operating expenses were extremely high for a business that hadn't generated any revenue yet. So that was my first big one. And then, after that first year, I sold off a van and we got real lean. And that we've worked that out since then. And the other one is just people, like any business, finding good people, that, really buy into who you are, right? As the owner, they're going to look up to me. They're going to need me there to be present. I think some folks go into franchising thinking that it's going to run itself, and they're not present, and then they fail. Unfortunately, we've seen some franchise owners that have failed relatively quickly coming into this business. But people, just making sure you're driving that ship, make sure you're giving a vision to work towards, whatever that may be. Everyone needs to work. Everyone needs to make money, but there's a difference between someone shows up for a paycheck and someone shows up to, help you build your business.
Absolutely. Good point. And, there are listeners here that are aspiring to be entrepreneurs and own a new business. Any advice that you would kind of bring to their attention?
Yeah, I got a couple things there. I mean, the first one is find good mentors. Get out and go talk to people face to face. There's so much on social media now where these people portray themselves as someone they're not. And I think that we get a lot of younger kids that attach themselves to that. And, no, I don't want to go work at McDonald's because I'm going to be a influencer. And it's like, well, maybe, but you're
right.
25 and you still live with your parents. This time they're really trying to figure this out. And the other thing would be don't reinvent the wheel. There's franchising is great. I remember I never thought about franchising until I read one of Robert Kiyosaki's books, and it talked about how easy it can be to scale. And so I thought about that for a long time. If I didn't buy a franchise and I took the capital that I had to, start my own service company, build the website and get all that stuff done, I was thinking it'd take me 4 to 5 years to really turn a profit versus franchising, to give you a business model. You have support from the home office because they don't want to see you fail, obviously, because they're taking royalties off of our top line.
Right.
And you could just scale a lot faster. So that would be the biggest thing. Find good mentors and don't reinvent the wheel. And there's a lot of different businesses out there that, we don't even know about, that a lot of folks don't even know about, that help make this great country the country that it is.
Awesome. I love that, man. Very inspiring. So as we wrap up here, can you provide our listeners a way to get a hold of you, your website, your phone number?
Yeah. So you just go to www.mrhandyman.com. And then once you get to that landing page, they'll ask you to put your zip code in, and they'll point you in the right direction to whatever franchise owner area you're in. If you want to call me directly, my office number is 689-240-3500.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking time to share your story. Very exciting to hear about that, and hopefully we can have you back in the near future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I much appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to First Media Consulting Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, subscribe today. To nominate a business you would like to recommend to be on our show, go to firstmediaconsulting.com or call. Thank you for listening.